Hi, this is Ishita Datta, a legal intern at Lexis and Company, and today I will be talking about the topic which is nuisance. When some act is committed by the person resulting in the wrongful interference, discomfort and injury is being suffered by the plaintiff, then that can lead to the action for nuisance against such person. Like for example, when X builds his house in such a way that it obstructs the sunlight to pass by Y's house, then that act done by X of the building would amount to nuisance. It is different from trespass in the sense that in trespass there is direct interference by the person to the other's property, but in nuisance the interference is consequential of the act being done by the plaintiff. Therefore, traditionally the term nuisance can be defined as an unreasonable interference with the rights of the public or conduct that interferes with an individual's use and enjoyment of his land can be termed as a nuisance. It is a very vast concept of law which includes in it many harms and damages being suffered, whether it is mental or physical harm caused by the tangible or intangible objects. Any wrongful interference which is the consequence of the act being done can lead to the offense of nuisance. There are different kinds of nuisance. Nuisance can be of two kinds. First is public nuisance. So what is public nuisance? It refers to the interference done on other property in such a manner that it infringes the right of the public at large. Therefore, it is a criminal offence. Thus, in simple language, it can be said that public nuisance is a crime and is responsible for the interference with the rights of the public and is punishable as an offence. Like, for example, when A digs a ditch on the land used by many common people for travelling for their daily use, then in that situation, digging of ditch injuries the right of the public and therefore it can be termed as a public nuisance. As in the case of Dr. Ram Raj Singh versus Babu Lal, in this case the defendant had created a stone crushing machine adjoining the plaintiff's house. The plaintiff was a medical practitioner and therefore the dust which the machine generated harmed the environment. Moreover, the dust generated entered the consulting chambers which are being inhaled by the plaintiff itself and also the patients. It was held that the plaintiff was able to prove that such activity causes a problem at large and therefore it was a public nuisance. And also injunction order was being issued to the defendant and also special damages were given to the plaintiff. Second type of nuisance is private nuisance or a tort of nuisance. Private nuisance is a kind of civil offence and is being filed in a case where there is the interference of the rights of a private individual. That is where a person's right is being infringed or wrongfully interfered with by another. Therefore, if A plays music in such a loud way that it disturbs his nature, then in that condition the neighbour can file a suit against A and this is known as a private offence. Public nuisance can also become a private nuisance, but it happens only when there is some harm which ought to have suffered by the public at large. But there is some special or huge loss is being suffered by it. Like where the dig was ditched, there was a possibility that the general people would face a problem, but one specific person was injured in that act. Therefore, it can come under civil law court. So what are the essentials of nuisance? For proving a nuisance, the following essentials are required. First is unreasonable interference. So interference with one's enjoyment of land can constitute a nuisance, but not every interference so caused by that person can't constitute a nuisance. Like playing music at a normal voice which might disturb a neighbor, but that can't constitute as a nuisance as everyone has got the freedom to enjoy their own rights of enjoyment. Therefore, interference that causes damage to the plaintiff's property or personal discomfort can constitute a nuisance, provided that such interference should be unreasonable and beyond the limit of their own granted enjoyment right. Like if A has a house by the side of the road, then he can't have a claim for the inconvenience which is necessarily incidental to the traffic on the road. However, the reasonability of nuisance varies according to the localities. As in the case of Sturgis versus Bridgman, the Thesal LJ said, what may be the nuisance in Belgrade Square would not be in Bremondsey. As in the case of Radhe Shyam versus Gul Prasad, the defendants alleged to put a permanent injunction to restrain them from installing and running a flour mill in the industry in the locality, as that would already make noisy locality. Moreover, due to the installation of the machine, the plaintiff would also lose their peace because of the rattling noise of the machine and resultant would be an adverse effect on their health. It was held that the installation of the machine would lead to unreasonable interference on the plaintiff's right and therefore injunction was granted against the defendant. The second essential is Interference with the enjoyment on the use of land. Interference with the use of land may either lead to the damage or loss to the property itself, or injury to the health or comfort of the occupant of the certain property. An unauthorized interference with the use of another property, causing him to lose, to suffer, whether it be tangible or intangible, which may lead to damage of one's property, then in that situation it leads to action of a nuisance. Like in the case of St. Helens Smelting Corporation versus Tipping, here the release of the fumes from the defendant's company, plaintiff's tree and flowers were getting damaged. It was held that the defendant was liable for the damage being done to the property of others. Moreover, interference with the property of other, causing him discomfort and inconvenience in using the premises, can be held him liable for nuisance. But the rule for the same is de minimis non correlative. Example, the law does not take account of the ordinary matters. There should be interference and inconvenience which is of a serious nature and is causing harm to the property. However, the inconvenience and discomfort do not depend upon the point of view of the plaintiff. The test is based upon how an average man residing in the same locality would consider it. Third essential is damage. For bringing an action against nuisance, it is necessary for the plaintiff to prove for the damage being suffered by the plaintiff through the act of defendant. Like in Fay versus Prentice, there was a cornice being built of defendant house was projected towards the plaintiff's house. Plaintiff presumed that during the rain, the water would fall from the defendant's house and to the plaintiff's garden, which would damage his property. This was needed to be proved by the plaintiff, and therefore the defendant was held liable for the same. So what are the defenses given to us in nuisance? There is a number of defenses being pleaded before the court. Some of them are recognized by the court and others have failed. Recognized ones are as follows. First is right to commit to nuisance. So the commit an act which would otherwise be considered as an offence for nuisance, if the permission is granted, then under that circumstance the act would never be considered a nuisance. For where if a person is farming on a plaintiff's land for which the plaintiff has not raised any objection, then in such circumstance it would be considered that such action has been gone under the permission granted by the defendant, for which after a long period of time the defendant can't have any claim. The period for legalizing such granted permission is presumed to be 20 years. So as in the case of Sturgis versus Bridgman, what happened is that the defendant was a confectioner who had his kitchen in the rear of his house. Till 20 years he was using the kitchen where its material like large pestles and mortars were being kept and were in continuous use. The noise and vibrations used to come from his house which never disturbed the plaintiff, but when the plaintiff shifted his consulting room to the garden, then he felt disturbed due to the noise and vibration released from those pestles and mortars. It was held that the plaintiff was liable for nuisance and therefore injunction order was being passed against him. So in this defense, he pleaded for plaintiff's permission being granted as the noise never disturbed him for 20 years. But the defense also failed as a nuisance for the same because it was felt to the plaintiff when he shifted his room, therefore. The defense failed. So the second defense is statutory authority. If some act has been committed under the authority given by the statutory authority, then under those circumstances the act would not lead to the offence of a nuisance. Like for example, where a railway company authorized by the government to run railway trains on the tracks, then if in spite of due care taken the sparks from the engine set fire to the adjoining property, or even if the value property adjoining to it depreciate by the noise and vibrations and smoke by the running train, then the company will not be held liable. So I will be now talking about some case laws related to nuisance. In Calls versus Home and Colonial Stores Limited, in this case a building was built by the defendant because of which there was diminished in the amount of light into the room on the ground floor. That room was used as an office where the electric light was there. It was held that the defendant was not liable because for proving the defendant liable there must be a substantial privation of light. In the second case law in Campbell versus Paddington Corporation, in this case the plaintiff was the owner of a building from where the funeral procession of King Edward VII was to be passed and can be seen from a place. Therefore, she decided to take some money in place of allowing people to sit as to see the procession. But one day before the procession, the defendant's corporation constructed a stand on the highway as to see the procession from there clearly. And due to this, the plaintiff suffered loss, and due to the reduction in the price because of the construction of the view, she sued the defendant's corporation, contending that the structure on the highway was a public nuisance. It was held that the public nuisance was committed and the plaintiff was entitled to a commission. So the third case law is Usha Ben versus Bhagya Lakshmi Chitra Mandir. So in this case, what happened is that the plaintiff's appellants argued before the court for putting permanent restraining order against the film Jai Santoshi Ma, as according to her, it hurt the religious sentiments in that film. Goddess Saraswati, Lakshmi and Parvati were defined as jealous and were ridiculed. It was held that hurt religious feelings were not an actionable wrong. Moreover, the plaintiffs were not free to watch the movie again, and hence the plaintiff's claim against the nuisance was not succeeded. Another case law would be Health versus Mayor of Britain. So what happened in this case was that there was a suit filed for the order to grant the order of injunction in the favor of the incumbent and trustees of Brighton Church. So to restrain a buzzing noise from defendant's power station. It was held that the noise was not disturbing any other person other than the incumbent, and neither the noise was of such loud that it distracted other people who came to attend church. Thank you so much.